Whoa, hang on, slow down. It seems that a lot of you might have taken what I was saying in the last video the wrong way. So looks like we need to touch on some things once again, address some stuff I saw in the comment section, and just clarify some stuff. So that's what we're going to do in today's video, is talking once again about Subaru's newer engine series issues. So guys, in the previous video, talking about the FA, FB series of Subaru engines and their common issues, which I'll link up here in the top corner for those of you that haven't seen the video yet, we talked about the main cause of concern or major repair of this new engine being oil leaks, primarily coming from the camshaft carriers or the big old time and chain cover on the front of the engine. Now, in that video, we also talked about the fact that Subaru head gasket failures are not an issue on this engine and haven't been an issue on this engine, and that Subaru head gaskets were resolved way back in the EJ series engine that basically died out a decade or so ago. 2011 to 2013 is about the time that all the EJs were phased out for the F-Series engines in all models aside for the STI and the WRX, which the WRX got its F-Series engine in 2015. So we talked about the fact that you don't have to worry about head gaskets in going and buying a Subaru. Put it out of your mind, head gaskets aren't an issue. But instead, you have to worry about these oil leaks. Now, based on the comments of that video, a lot of you took that the wrong way of what I was meaning and are completely terrified about buying a Subaru, or feel like those of you that have a Subaru that you're driving around in a ticking time bomb. Let me quell your fears a little bit, because that's not true. I, Mr. Subaru, have several vehicles that have FA, FB series engines in them, and I would not hesitate to go buy a, let's say, brand new Crosstrek Wilderness that has an F-Series engine in it as well. Now, we talked about causes of the oil leaks. We talked about the cost of repair. We talked about a lot of things with the engine, and like I said, it kind of scared a lot of you based on the comments. Now, that was the main reason why I wanted to make this follow-up video, but a second comment I saw more times than I'd like to have, and I see it on all my videos talking about Subarus, not just that video, and it was the good old why buy a Subaru when you can buy a Toyota and not have any issues. Guys, I don't understand why Toyota has been cast up on a pedestal as some golden idol of perfection when it comes to automobiles. Yes, Toyota makes a good quality vehicle, but they are not the end-all be-all, best thing ever, never needs repairs, never breaks down, and will drive for 1,000,000 miles car. They're just not that. They are good cars, but I hate to break it to you, Toyota fans, you can go to any Toyota dealership anywhere in the world, any day of the week, and you will find a service department full of broken Toyota vehicles getting repaired. It's just the way it is. Everything mechanical will break eventually. Toyota is not above or exempt from this rule. So with that out of the way, let's go back into the main concern here, the main follow-up, and that is quelling the fears of you Subaru owners and those of you that are looking at buying a Subaru and now are terrified of the thought of having one of these engines and having to pay a lot of money to repair it. Put those fears out of your mind. It's not that big of a deal. I guess I kind of made it seem like this horrible, daunting thing that was going to strike you all, but let's talk about it a little bit more. So if you're going to go buy a brand new Subaru today, there is no concern here whatsoever. If you do develop an oil leak from, well, at that point would be a quality control issue from a new vehicle, it will absolutely be repaired free of charge, under warranty, and taken care of. Now, if you are buying an older Subaru, you know, so many years old, out of warranty, etc., do you need to worry about this issue? If the car is a high mileage car, you do need to be a little bit more concerned about it, especially if it wasn't properly maintained and properly cared for. I talk about that quite a bit. A lot of Subaru's perceived reliability issues stem from owner neglect and lack of proper maintenance. It's just the way it is. If you take care of and care for these vehicles as you should, They will last as long as any other vehicle on the road, Toyota included. I've seen many, many Subaru vehicles with 300, 400, 500,000 miles. I've even seen a 2015 Crosstrek with, last time I was updated on it, had 1.2 million miles. These cars and these engines can be very reliable, but it comes down to the owner to do their due diligence in taking care of and maintaining them. Now, as we talked about in that video, the main cause of the oil leaks is neglect of the PCV system, the positive crankcase ventilation system, that helps get those unburnt or burnt, depending, crankcase pressures out of the block and reburned into the engine instead of building up inside the engine until they pressurize and push their way out through oil seals. So maintaining your PCV system is crucial. I have a video specifically on Subaru PCV systems I will put up in the top corner. But as I stated in the comments and answered a lot of you guys' comments on that, the PCV system should be serviced every 3 years, 36,000 miles. And by that, I mean the valve, the PCV valve located here on top of the engine block, should be removed, inspected, and replaced every 3 years or 36,000 miles. Now, a lot of you mentioned in the comments that on the newer Subarus, it's not anywhere on the maintenance and it's not anywhere in the owner's manual, and it's not going to be. This is just a rule of thumb. Basically, every single make model car since PCV systems were a thing have almost always recommended 3-year, 36,000 mile inspection replacement, and Subaru has been doing that for decades. So be sure to check your PCV valve. Also, the hose. There is a vacuum hose from the PCV valve to the intake. Now, it's a little bit different on turbocharged cars, and it's a little bit different engine to engine, but most of them will be one valve right here to the left of the throttle body looking from the front of the car, and it will have a vacuum hose going to the intake manifold somewhere in that area. That is how most of them are. It's a 19 millimeter socket and normally about 15 minutes to pull it out. Check it, clean it if you need to. But again, I covered that all in that video on the PCV valve for Subarus. So number one, make sure you are checking your PCV valve and your PCV system's health. Also, we talked about oil change intervals and staying on top of your oil changes. Not so much for the oil leaks. It can contribute when you got a lot of buildup in your oil and you haven't been changing your oil. It can affect the RTV and cause some oil leakage issues. But the main issue is with the VVT, or variable valve timing, on these engines. If you don't change your oil regularly and you let it get crudded up, it can very easily cause issues with the variable valve timing. There's lots of tiny orifices in the system that can be clogged and cause all kind of issues, which will be a high dollar repair because you've got to usually take off this big diamond chain cover, reseal it to get into the variable valve timing components that are normally affected by neglect on oil changes. Now, I still recommend 5,000 mile oil changes, even on synthetic engine oil. I know Subaru recommends, I think, 6,000 miles, and a lot of other manufacturers are pushing those intervals out further and further, which is quite insane to me. I would rather waste money by excessively changing oil and filter than have to deal with one of these high dollar repairs. Oil and filter are cheap. These repairs are not. I would rather spend the money in replacing my oil regularly and often than have to deal with these issues. And that's basically it for you that own an older Subaru or have an older Subaru with this series of engine. Keeping track of your oil changes, making sure you change it regularly, and making sure you stay on top of the health of the PCV system will help basically alleviate any issue with these oil leaks. Now, there is another issue that caused these. We can touch on it really quickly, and that was the valve spring recalls. Now, not all of the older F-Series engines had the valve spring recall done, but a lot of them got called in for valve spring recalls, and a lot of them that had the valve spring recall done had oil leak issues afterwards, and that was because Subaru will not pay full labor time for a warranty repair, and technicians were having to churn these things out as fast as possible. No excuse for the work, no excuse for the technician, but a lot of these valve spring recalls were done, and the cam carriers and the whole engine basically was reassembled and resealed poorly and has caused these leaks on the older cars. So new Subaru owners, there's not really any concern to worry about. Older Subaru owners, as long as you've maintained it properly, there's not really much to worry about either. So I kept seeing comments having issue with RTV silicone being used to seal a lot of the components on the engine rather than an actual gasket. And I hate to break it to you guys, especially you Toyota fans, once again, even Toyota uses RTV silicone to seal their engine. Most modern cars have RTV silicone sealing timing chain covers, oil pans, cam covers, rocker covers, etc. So it's not just a Subaru thing, it's not just a Subaru issue, it's all the manufacturers, Toyota included. I've seen oil leaks on Toyotas from their timing chain covers, their oil pans, all sorts of issues, just the same as a Subaru. Now granted, it can be cheaper labor-wise to fix those engines than to fix this engine, but they still have the issues nonetheless. I think it's kind of funny as well that Subaru is notorious for head gasket failures, but on the flip side, Toyota has several V6 and 4-cylinder engines that are just as known for head gasket failures as Subarus are, yet you don't hear people talking about it, you don't see memes about it, you don't hear all the jokes about Toyota V6 or 4-cylinder engines that fail their head gaskets. It's only Subaru. So not sure why that is. I mean, I know that it's easier to replace a head gasket on an inline 4 and on a V6 and a boxer engine, but still, those failures still occur on Toyota and every other manufacturer. It just seems that Subaru is the whipping boy when they have the same issues everyone else has, just because the engine is a little bit more labor intensive to repair than the others. So guys, there you go. Hopefully this video has alleviated some of those fears that you might have gotten from the first video on this. Hopefully those of you that own Subarus are a little more relaxed and don't feel stressed like you're driving around in a time bomb. And hopefully those of you that were looking at a Subaru and thought a little cautiously after seeing the first video have been put at ease and are still considering buying a new Subaru vehicle. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all in the next one.